The version 2 of the kisco.com C#.NET 8 full-stack brand website is now available. It contains a ton of code, features, end-to-end modules to learn from, to reuse, or to repurpose into your own brand website, your portfolio, or even your software as a service or startup project. Since it now contains features like email campaigns, a webshop, sponsorships, memberships, recurring payments, end-to-end authentication, authorization, blog module with a markdown editor and code snippets if you need them. And you can even add attachments, add content permissions on those attachments to grant exclusive access to your members. Everything is video documented in this video playlist about building the brand website in C#.NET 8. And there is an extensive README included with all the links to all of the videos, how to set it up. It contains so much reusable code that it's definitely a time saver, from the smallest features like pagination to entire end-to-end modules you could easily plug and play into your own projects. So you can get your copy at kisco.com/products or patreon/kisstupid and get the version 2. So you can read all about what's inside, and you can even preview most of the features on my own kisco.com. You can go to the blog, for example, go to this one, see that the blog is there with the sponsor segment, code snippets, a way to do some in-app purchases. You can unlock the attachments to this with the request, the content permissions. You can subscribe to the newsletter with a nice CAPTCHA toggle. You can even request sponsor segment to be on the blog post, share your content. I split the CSS in a base CSS, which contains the basic Bootstrap layout, not too much brand styling, and then the theme CSS, which is completely filled with my brand theme. And this makes that you can comment out one line of code to revert all of my own custom styling. As you may have seen in the video playlist, it includes end-to-end authentication, authorization using those .NET 8 identity endpoints and the Blazor authorization components. It includes all the screens: login, register, forgot password, reset password, user info page, an admin section where you can manage the users, the permissions, the roles. It's all in there. And those reset and confirmation emails will be sent out once you configure the app settings correctly. It includes multiple forms to capture your audience, from capturing email addresses to having contact forms. Anonymous metrics are being captured in the background from app visits, page visits. It's all in there in encapsulated components. The emails that get sent out can include a tracking pixel and proxy links to capture metrics of whether the email got read and links got clicked. And email notifications will be sent for in-app purchases as well. The payments module is currently done with Molly, which is the European counterpart of Stripe. The flows are pretty similar, but you do need to check if your country can use Molly. The version 1 did contain a payments module with a starting setup for Stripe with just the checkout flow. That's the payment processor for you. Feel free to reach out and hire me at the contact button. Maybe we can collaborate and build a custom Stripe module for you. I included this amazing email campaigns module on which you can create emails using Markdown, so similarly like the blog posts, which allows you to create a nice rich emails, include images and links. And with those you could start creating your automated scheduled email campaigns, or send out one-off emails to certain email lists. It's all possible. You can create a job, schedule that. You can apply a trigger. So once signed in, I can go to my profile. If I have sufficient permissions, I go to the admin page where I can see the users, the roles, manage the roles. Those are 2 content permission roles. The permissions themselves, manage the permissions. Then the email campaigns, the welcome sequence, which is active. I can easily create a new one, target a email list, easily create new templates. An email template looks as follows, so with markdown, with the metrics that's being tracked, with the tracking pixel and the links. And I can easily edit them, preview them, upload images or zip files now as well. I can send a test email, and the email templates also support the code snippets. You can also have email templates that are not tied to an email campaign. The metrics are sometimes a bit buggy, you have to refresh, but then they are. So I'm using these more of a newsletter issue so that I can send out to the subscribed people to the newsletter. And then I could show you that the code snippets are supported. You can test the email. Do note, if you test the email, it's possible that the font size might be a bit smaller and the unsubscribe link won't be included. The tracking links and so on won't be included in the test mail, but they are included once the background worker service sends out all of these emails. That one is responsible to construct all of these marketing related trackers. A template is just a template on itself. There's not too much. You can select a trigger, of course, but then you can create a job and select the desired email template, select a list, schedule it, include a sponsor segment, yes, and publish it to the blog as well, since now they're basically blog posts or newsletter issues that you can send out to the entire lists. Sponsor segment, this is one I just made myself, but then you can see the metrics on these as well, even on which blog post it is, who requested it, whether it's paid for, and you can make it, can review it pending approved declined and set it as fallback, which means when when a newsletter issue gets sent and there is no new sponsor request, just use the default one to fill it up. And then there is orders, which I cannot show due to email addresses, but you can see order history on my user profile and subscriptions, which come from the payment plans, which a member can subscribe to and then get exclusive access to the blog post attachments or the products even. That's up to you. You can edit these, set them active, featured, change the payment interval, set the price, what's in there. This will also create a user role, and once someone subscribes, they will be granted that role, and then that role can be specified on the blog post attachment. So if I think I showed you maybe, so I can select an attachment URL and then which payment plans or roles that can access this content for free. Next up is then the sponsor page, where you see the metrics, some testimonials again, and then the sponsor segment you can construct yourself. So you're gonna preview it here, the price is there, and you should be able to order one. So I think I went through about all of the new features, improved features, and so on. And of course, lastly, you have the feature I was on, is your own webshop, your own commerce module, in which you can create new products. It could be the lead magnet, could be a digital tool or a physical product. You can upload your project files, so the zip files, just on the file picker, and maybe put it in the product container on the Azure blob storage, which could then be set to private. That SaaS token, which I covered in the last video, secure file downloads. And you can also see the content permissions on here. Okay, so the things I couldn't show due to email addresses, I'll be able to show while setting up this project locally. So we'll continue with a quick setup guide. Make sure you have Docker Desktop. .NET 8 and Azure Data Studio is a preference of mine. So what you should get is the brand website version 2 with all of the code, the runnable projects, the modules, and then I added in the source code of the NuGet packages that are used, my custom .NET 8 NuGet packages, because I moved some code into those packages to avoid duplication in the standalone modules. So I'm starting fresh. So the README file is in there with the setup. You should be getting the brand project. The brand API is runnable. The pre-render server is runnable. The pre-rendered Blazor setup. The brand worker will process the shop orders, will do some synchronization of data, make users into newsletter subscribers, process the subscriptions, the payments, send out the emails from the email campaigns and the jobs. Then you have the modules, all of the features, plug and playable modules, database project with the migrations already in there. And those migrations will be applied on startup of the brand API, but we'll first need to create the database, so the local containerized SQL Server database in a Docker image, and you can find that in the README. If you have never downloaded that Docker image, then you need to run the first command, otherwise you're safe to run the docker compose command. If you happen to be on a Mac system, you may need to turn on the Docker experimental features. I'm just gonna run docker compose. That should create a database on port 1437. That's only gonna create the master database. Once we apply the migrations, all of the tables will be available. Next up, starting the brand API. And also in the frontend project, the hot reload is in there and so on. If you want to apply the migrations yourself, the readmes in each database project is included and will contain the instructions for you to migrate. You may need to do that once you deploy to the production environment, on which I also have videos in that same video playlist. So running that project, and we're gonna do /swagger, get all of the endpoints, and I'm gonna try one that doesn't need authorization, so maybe the payment plans. Let's see, just run them, and we get an empty response, which is better than an error. That means the tables were migrated correctly, and there's just no data in there yet. I did see it in admin user. That's also written on the README of the brand project. Let me take that. So the README. So it's all there, getting started. So entity framework core tools. If you want to migrate yourself, .NET EF, add migrations or update migrations, you'll need the .NET Entity Framework tools installed. Just follow the link, .NET 8 SDK on this version, and the Docker desktop. So it's explained where the Docker instructions are with the video link. It's explained where the database commands are, the CLI commands for EF Core. So in each module in the database README file, you can read the update, only necessary for the production environment, not for the development, since that runs on the API startup. And then I see that this admin@test.com with test1234. So let's run the frontend project. I mentioned the startup project, so the API, pre-render server, and the worker. And all the rest are just class libraries or Razor class libraries that you can easily plug and play. So There's even a link to the video for once you're ready to deploy that brand pre-render server, since that's the server-side Blazor project running the Blazor WebAssembly, pre-rendering it, which helps our SEO. And that's what you get out of the box, the exact kisco.com website without brand imagery. Blog, products, community, member, sponsor, hire me even. I left it in. Contact, authentication, all the screens, even the terms of service. Social links will likely still go to mine. Make sure to change those. But let me first show you how you can undo all of my brand styling with just commenting out one line of code. So we'll have to find the app.razor where the CSS sheets are included. Just comment it out, press save. The hot reload should take over, and then you just get the basic bootstrap version of this website. So here you see there's newsletter subs coming from the database, but the rest is hard-coded. I'm human. Success. Then should of course refresh. It's not that. Join one others. Should contain one. You could also go ahead and add a testimonial. So very good. Very good. And then that I didn't build the UI for that yet to manage those. You actually just have to go to the database and verify that one locally. So let's add this. Just gonna have to add the connection string found in the worker or in the API. You'll have to fill in all of these if you want the email SMTP mailer to work and to connect to your production database. Maybe to upload files, you'll need to fill in the credentials for the blob storage. If you want to connect with the Molly or with Stripe, you'll need the keys. I have videos about doing all of that. We're just going to copy this local connection string. Also here, there's a Molly to fill in. So in the runnable project, you will need to fill in the app settings. Just call it brand webs and db v2 just for demo purposes. And then you should get the tables and let's see the reviews where the testimonial was. And can I easily set this one to public? Is public. Enter. Refresh. And that one should be there. Let's continue. Let's first put back that styling just for now. It's all functional. Let's authenticate. Let's see, admin at test.com, test 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see the password, login, which leads you to your user profile page where you can update the info, update your password, manage subscriptions and your order history. But if you have the permissions, you can also go to the admin page, app visits 3. You can check out the users, so that's only the test one right now. Parrot, none should be found. You can manage the roles and permission. Let's add a moderator. So now the moderator is there. We can set some permissions. Let's say you can manage the blog. Let's see about the users. Yeah, of course. Edit, delete. We can change the role. We can update email confirmed. You might need to do that in the production environment. Admin test, you can reset the password, add a new one, set the phone number, name, update the user. Then let's head over to the mailing. or let's first do something simple and sponsor request. Just gonna say Giscode and then feel free to mail to that email address if you need help with this project or reach out via the contact feature. Let's order. Yeah, this is going to go to the payment feature, which is not configured right now. So I made videos about that. That's a Stripe video. The flows are similar. You'll need to set up, expose your local host to a public address. So you can go to the payment screen, and then the payment, once the payment is processed by the payment processor, Stripe or Molly, then they'll send a webhook for which you need an and to expose an endpoint, which is the payments webhook, which will then process the payment and so on. But let's now check out, oops, the sponsor request. It should be in there pending. It doesn't have a payment thingy. Let's say approved is fallback. Okay, then we can go to the mailing. Let's quickly create a campaign sequence. And then we can select the, well, target an email list. Let's say the products. And set a publish date, tomorrow, start from tomorrow, start date. You may need to refresh also for this metric sometimes. Set it to active or in test mode if you have test subscribers. So I always make a few email addresses, set them to the testers. Then we can create templates. You can either do it from here, then they're directly added to this campaign, or you can add templates here. Body. Let's set a delay. I want to send it after 2 days after subscribing or something, or purchasing something. Sorry, we need to refresh again. Set it to active. You can test it. You can edit it, update and preview it. So let's say, see, it's updated. Okay, then those same templates, you can make one here, test, one-off or subscribed. Let's just do one-off. Play in days, I'm gonna set to null because I'm gonna use that. Create a job, select the test template, send them to the content once, tomorrow, include that default sponsor segment and publish it as a blog post once the background worker sends out the email campaigns, but also the email jobs. So that's what's gonna happen. And then it should set it back to non-active afterwards. So publish the blog and so on. You can click on it, test the email template. And let's head over to the subscribers. You can filter by list. So let's see, but yeah, it's subscribed to all lists currently, so it's gonna keep showing up. Also, everything is included for a user to unsubscribe. They'll see the email lists to uncheck. And that works similarly as the authorization with the permission enums. You can delete this one because sometimes there's like a misspelled email in there and that can hurt your delivery and so on. Let's see, parrot. None for parrot, that's good. Okay, and then we have the commerce model where you'll just see the shop orders. The digital products, they will be processed automatically by the background work service that should be running and processing these things. Let's say there's a physical one, then you'll have to, well, do the shipment yourself and manage it manually. But you can of course create your products here, set it to digital, featured lead magnet, add download link. Okay, so I showed you all of the features, some differences or improvements compared to version 1. I showed you how to quickly set it up, which was, in my opinion, fairly easy. If you're struggling with it, feel free to reach out. Or if you have project IDs, feel free to reach out for collaboration. I can safely say it's been a success for me. These reusable modules, I copied over the blog module, the commerce module I'll be doing soon, the email campaigns I did, the file uploads, the metrics, the payments, the reviews soon. The sponsorships, I copied those all over into my dog platforms. So if I were to go to leisure.com/ and go to the blog, that's the exact same thing. The sponsor requests, it's in Dutch, but sponsor requests, the same thing. Shops I'll be doing soon. Let's see, in the admin section, I've got the email campaigns as well. What else did I say? The reviews will be coming, metrics are in there, file uploads, of course, for these managing these blogs. There's likely gonna come a version 3, but I can't promise you when that will be. That improve the reviews, because I still need the UI to manage those, and I want to have content reviews as well, so maybe on the products, on the attachment, and so on. I showed you those metrics that you sometimes may need to refresh to see the actual ones. I tried to save round trips to the database, but it kind of backfired, so that's an improvement I need to do. Then the access tokens in the authentication authorization module, they may only live for an hour or something. So when you're typing a long blog post, do make sure to save frequently. That's something I definitely need to improve. If you create a new product and you typed a long body and you select these silver, bronze, it kind of resets. That's a nasty bug that I left in. I hope this video was convincing to get your own copy of the product. See you in the next one.